up here at the holding area. Been working with the boys here at Rafa Ranch, and we got this tie-in all completed. It attaches to the cross fence so that we can separate this pasture now. They're discovering how difficult this can be when you're first learning. And so some of the things that they're wrestling with is how to continue to strike an arc. And so this is something that they are working on. And so they'll take the stinger, and they're still a little bit afraid of it. And so kind of getting that arc to start is rough. But once they get it to start, they have a hard time really kind of burying the rod. And the reason is they're afraid of that they're going to lose the arc. And what they don't realize is that the more they pull away, the larger that heat signature gets. And just by the nature of this pipe, if you're not careful, the thickness has changed because the pipe is used and it's wore out. And so some of these have grooves in them, and you will, if you don't have your heat pointed in the right direction, you'll have a blowout. And so they're terrified of that, and so they do the exact opposite of what they should do. Instead of really pushing the rod in there, they'll pull it out. That heat signature will grow, they'll get more heat, and they'll have a blowout. And so this is something that they'll learn as they go along. Our Christian life is very much like this. And you're saying, well, what's the tie? Well, oftentimes when we really need to be pressing in, we'll pull away. In our devotional for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I'm catching up on all of it. We're talking about Israel. They're at the precipice of the promised land, and they start kind of getting fearful. So on Thursday, we talked about sending in the 12 spies. So we send in 12. 2 of them come back, and they've got incredible faith. Joshua and Caleb. And what we see is that these individuals, they just want to trust God. It's like, yeah, we see that there's giants in there. But we also see that God has prepared this for us. And they're not bigger than God. The devotionalist, he says that part of it is the fact that these guys were somewhat brazen, and he mentions that Caleb's name means he's tenacious, and it could be, but I believe they were faithful. Hebrews 11:6 says, "Without faith it is impossible to please God." Now you need to understand, they were praying that God would deliver them. God came and through a series of miracles completely put down the gods of Egypt, and in that last miracle he showed that he was going to send a deliverer that would deliver all of mankind, pointing to Jesus Christ. Then he takes them to Sinai, and there at Sinai he structures them as a nation, gives them laws, then sets up a leadership. We see that Jethro recommends to Moses that he sets up 70 elders, and so they do that. They're all ready. All they need is a land, and God is going to take them to that land. You fast forward years later, we find that God does bring them in. He fights their battles, and they still struggle with being faithful to God. But he does it. Now, Friday's devotional is Israel provokes God. And I think that you're going to see that whenever we don't obey God, whenever he is just really laying things out, and then at some juncture we pull back, it's got to be very frustrating to God. And I don't think we think about this, but sometimes we're kind of hard to deal with, and sometimes we cause our own problems. So when I'm not really pushing in, and I'm pulling out, and I'm creating a larger heat signature, and I'm have a blowout, the only way to fix that is to do what I should have done in the first place. And so this is what Israel should have done, is they should have repented and trusted God. Now, when you get to today's devotional, it talks about God's judgment, but what's astounding about it is their own words come upon them. They said, it'd have been better if we died in the wilderness. And that's what God permits them to do. Sometimes we're rash in what we say. We're quick to speak. We need to be quick about obeying God and slow to speak. I've suffered this. It's a lifelong lesson that I'm learning. But I'll tell you, the only way I'm going to get better at it is just to continue to press in and be faithful. Just like this. Tomorrow, services, we're going to be looking at our Baptist heritage. And I'm going to tell you that these individuals had to really be faithful and trust God because they were going through some very, very treacherous times. I think that can be an encouragement for where we are today. Let's take a look at what Israel didn't do. Let's take a look at what we've not done in our lives. Let's take a look at our history and see what these men did. And let's press into the situation. May God richly bless you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Sorry about being delinquent the last couple of days. God bless.